One frequent comment I continue to hear from people visiting Vegas for the first time is that they cannot believe that smoking is still legal here. They walk into their hotel, they go to check in, and they are stunned to see people at the slot machines smoking indoors. Yes, Vegas is one of the last places in the U.S. where you can smoke indoors, but there are rules, there are laws, there are restrictions, and I'm going to go over all of that in this video. There are different laws and policies regarding tobacco use, vaping, which you might be surprised where the law stands on that, as well as cannabis consumption. I'm Mike the Vegas Guy, and this is my guide to everything you need to know about smoking rules and regulations in Las Vegas. Okay, so there is a lot to cover in this video, and I'm going to try and make it short and concise and easy for you to follow. I'm going to start with everything you need to know about the smoking laws, and by that I mean tobacco products, cigarettes, cigars, etc. That will coincide with vaping. Then I'm going to cover the rules about cannabis consumption, and stick around to the end of the video where I'm going to talk about some of the rumors that come up. There seem to be these clickbait articles that show up once or twice a year saying that Vegas is going to go smoke-free. I'm going to tell you at the end of this video why I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, and I'll explain to you why. But without any further ado, let's get straight to the point. If you take away nothing else from this video than this one piece of information, this is the simplest thing you need to know about the smoking laws in Las Vegas. Smoking is only legal inside a casino. By that I mean indoors, at least. Obviously, it is a bit more nuanced than that, and I hope you are going to continue watching a little longer than just that one takeaway. But for the most part, smoking is generally not legal in any public place indoors unless there are slot machines around you. If you are in a gaming area, that is where smoking is legal. That is the caveat to the rule. There are a few more caveats. Now, specifically, it involves minors, anyone under the age of 21. Technically, that goes hand in hand with the gaming floor regulation. But there are standalone bars in Las Vegas that do not let anyone in the door under the age of 21. They are allowed to have smoking. But anywhere else, it is illegal to smoke in public in Las Vegas, or in the whole state of Nevada for that matter. And you might be surprised to learn that vaping is treated exactly the same way as smoking. This was all laid out in the Nevada Clean Indoor Air Act that was established in 2006 and enacted in 2007. In 2019, they passed an addendum to that act specifying that vaping is treated exactly the same as smoking. I know that may come as a shock to some of you who think you can get away with vaping in places where smoking is still not legal. I'm making this video because I learned the hard way that there are many tourists who come to Vegas and believe that smoking is just allowed pretty much anywhere. Some people seem to think that Nevada just never passed any smoking bans anywhere at any time and we're still living in the Stone Age. But no, that's not true. In fact, now more than ever, more hotels are moving away from allowing smoking. Many of the hotel rooms in this city are now smoke-free. Many hotels don't allow any smoking, don't have any smoking rooms. Some do. Usually the high-end resorts like Caesar's Palace and even Wynn, etc., that cater to international audiences, high rollers, they have exceptions and they do have like a smoking floor or a handful of smoking rooms that you can request. But as a general rule, it is safe to assume you probably shouldn't be smoking anywhere in public or vaping unless you are in a casino floor or you are in a bar or lounge that is 21 and over and specifically allows smoking. Now, I say allows smoking. Of course, there are stipulations in this act that any business is free to ban smoking voluntarily if they do not wish to be a smoking establishment. And even though most all of the casinos, with a few exceptions, I will get to that in a moment, most casinos allow smoking on their casino floor, many of them have their own policies. Some do not allow cigar smoking or pipe smoking. And you might be surprised to learn that a lot of casinos, even though they allow cigarette tobacco smoking, they do not, however, allow vaping on the casino floors. This is a policy that is hard for the casinos to enforce, and they often don't enforce it much these days. But you'll find if you do ask the security staff at most of the major strip resorts, they're going to tell you that vaping is not allowed on the casino floor. That is because of the cannabis laws. Las Vegas does have legal cannabis consumption and sales. However, those policies are much more strict, and there are very few public places that allow you to consume cannabis in public. Because it is difficult for casinos to tell the difference between a vape device that has cannabis or a vaping device that has nicotine in it, their official policy on the books is that vaping is just not allowed. Vaping is so prevalent now, you will see people vaping all the time in the casinos. It's very possible you'll be able to do so if you are just using nicotine, a regular normal vape. You probably won't get bothered, but if you are stopped by hotel security and you are told that vaping is not allowed, that is the hotel's right to ban that and their property. Just because smoking and vaping is legal in a casino doesn't mean that it is your legal right. It is still up to the business owner of the property you are visiting to make up their own policies. And if you don't wish to adhere to those policies, they'll probably ask you to leave. So let's dive into the cannabis rules. If you are a regular visitor to Vegas or perhaps a local, you might be very surprised to learn the actual law that cannabis consumption is not legal in any public space. In public, not just indoors, anywhere that's in public. According to the Cannabis Compliance Board of Nevada, you are only allowed to consume your cannabis products at home, in private, or at a legal cannabis consumption lounge. This is something fairly new. Just in the last year or two, they finally started getting these licenses out to businesses that wanted to become legal cannabis lounges. So if you're visiting Vegas and you want to imbibe, there are legal places to buy it and consume it, but don't do it in a hotel casino on the strip. And just be aware, technically, you shouldn't be doing it outside on the sidewalk in front of a hotel either. But anyone who's taken a stroll down Las Vegas Boulevard in the last few years will tell you that plenty of people are doing it regardless of what the laws say. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm just telling you what the facts are. I wouldn't recommend doing it. So just to put things as simply as possible, vaping is viewed the same way as smoking nicotine or tobacco products in public. When it comes to the law, tobacco products are only allowed in 21 and over gaming floor areas, and cannabis can only be consumed inside of a legal cannabis consumption lounge. Circling back to the tobacco use and the banning of smoking in Vegas. As you might know by now, the Park MGM Hotel and Resort is the only major resort on the Las Vegas Strip that has completely banned smoking on their entire property. This began after the 2020 pandemic closures. When they reopened the Park MGM, they reopened it as a fully non-smoking resort. Now, many people, pundits, have pointed to the Park MGM as an example of the trend of the future, and people keep coming out with these articles year after year saying, any minute now, any day now, Vegas is going to completely ban smoking and you won't be able to smoke anywhere in the city. Not so fast, in my opinion. It has been well documented that casinos still do a significant portion of their business, not just because of tobacco use, but because of tobacco sales. Other than the Park MGM, if you go to any hotel gift shop, you will find a wall of cigarettes behind the counter, and usually a humidor with cigars as well. Recent studies have proven that there is a significant portion of tourists who otherwise consider themselves to not be smokers, but they come to Vegas in order to enjoy their vices. Gambling, drinking, and, in many cases, smoking. Hang out in one of those hotel gift shops long enough and you will see people showing up to buy cigarettes. In recent years, more and more cigar lounges have been opening up in strip casinos. There used to only be one or two, and now they keep opening new ones. Resorts World opened a new one. There are cigar retailers in some of the casinos. Oddly enough, Planet Hollywood has a cigar stand where they used to have a non-smoking gaming area. A lot of people seem to forget that a few years ago, about 10 years ago or so, many of the strip resorts were playing around with having non-smoking sections. Planet Hollywood was one of them. The Mirage had a separate, closed-off, non-smoking slot area. They eventually closed it and made it some high-limit area. This was years before they were closing the Mirage. Currently, if you go downtown to the Plaza Hotel, they have a separate non-smoking gaming area that is on the other side of the building from the main casino floor. It's completely walled off. Historically, it hasn't worked. A majority of tourists actually do enjoy smoking. And people who want to gamble in a non-smoking area can go out of their way to find a non-smoking casino. There is, however, one demographic of people, one group only, and that is the casino employees. The Las Vegas locals who live and work in the resorts. They are the number one group always campaigning for smoking to be banned in the casinos. But they are at odds with the data, with what the tourists want, and with how lucrative tobacco sales are for the resorts. People like to point at the Park MGM going non-smoking as the reason why it seems to be working. They are certainly succeeding there. The Park MGM does very good business, but you can get a room. If the demand for a non-smoking resort were so enormous, you wouldn't be able to get into the Park MGM. They would be booked up months in advance. Every room would be sold at all times because the demand for a smoke-free resort and casino would be so huge that they couldn't meet the demand. And only then would more smoke-free casinos open up. The business needs simply are not mandating that hotels ban smoking in the casinos. But I do think that the employees do have a lot of leverage, and they are going to be the ones who drive the movement towards what I think will be a happy medium someday in the nearer future. My personal belief will be that in the coming years, other competing resort companies will probably convert one of their hotels, just like MGM has done with the Park MGM. Someone like Caesars or one of the other gaming corporations will take one of their properties, make it a smoke-free resort, not just to offer their guests a smoke-free resort, but more specifically to offer their employees a smoke-free place to work. I think that the local workers and the workers' unions will slowly be able to negotiate more opportunities for workers to have a smoke-free work environment. And that will, over time, create more smoke-free casinos on the Strip. But I don't believe a law is ever going to get passed banning smoking outright in this town, so long as the gaming companies are still making good money and the tourists are demanding a place to come and enjoy all of their vices. I am going to include some links in the description of this video so you can read more about what the laws are on the books. The link to the Southern Nevada Health District talks about the Clean Air Act, and the Cannabis Compliance Board has more information about cannabis consumption in Las Vegas. Hopefully this video gives you a little more insight and knowledge before you make your trip to Las Vegas. Tell me in the comments if there's anything I left out. Do you have any questions, comments about the debate about banning smoking in Nevada? Feel free to sound off in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll hit that little like button down there. I would really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button for more of my Las Vegas how-to guides, my show reviews, hotel reviews, and buffet reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mike the Vegas Guy.